Hey, Ed here from 10,000 Foot View, and I've got another Google Ads quick tip for you today. So I actually wrote an article about this, and I will link it in the notes below the video. But I think it's important enough that it was probably a good idea to do video, so hence here it is. So today I'm going to be talking about audience signals, which are of course used for PMAX targeting and recently, Google updated discovery campaigns, so they use this method instead of direct targeting. And of course, the new demand gen campaigns that will be replacing discovery will also use this methodology. My sense, my feeling is also that we could see that this targeting method um, also becomes the standard for display and for search. And I know that means no more remarketing and no specific targeting, but from the indications Google's sending, we could well end up there in the next year or so. So anyway, this is going to be important that you know how to do this so that you can maximize the return in terms of targeting the right users. So with that said, I'm going to just run through a demo as if I'm building an audience signal for my own agency if I were to run a PMAX campaign for that purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aim for people that are actively looking for pay-per-click services. Um, so we'll just say users in market market for PPC management services. So this is a little lengthy, but I like to be descriptive in these, particularly if you end up creating a lot of different audiences, you're going to want to be able to tell one from the other without having to go through each setting to see kind of how you configured it. And you can even, I've seen some people do this where they will kind of take some of the information from below and kind of incorporate into the title. And that's like if you really have a ton of audiences, you're going to need that in order to distinguish one from the other. But this is good enough for the demo, so let's just move forward. So first thing we're going to have is custom segments. And these are used to be called custom intent audiences, and basically you build these based on keywords that people are searching for, domains that people are visiting, and or apps that they use. Generally, there are a few other kind of filters and things you can do, but that's kind of the core of it. And so for this particular audience, I would probably create a custom intent or custom segment around, pay-per-click management services, Google Ads, agency, things that, effectively are people looking for somebody to provide those services. So that would be the custom segment I would use. Now, I don't happen to have that here. I have AdWords users that are DIY, and I have AdWords users with agencies. So this one is based on um, people using tools that would be related to DIY, and this one would be agencies by domain. So neither one of these would really be appropriate here. So I would go and I'd create a new one based on the targeting that I just mentioned. Okay. And then in terms of your data, um, you may not have super high precision to go with your audience, but it's almost always a good idea to go ahead and upload your customer list. If you can upload your customer list, um, you can use converters, right? If it's lead gen or purchasers, if it's selling. And I would max out the time. So 540 days from Google Analytics 4, if you can do that. And then if, in addition to that, I would also add remarketing lists for, I do typically 90 days, but you could even do 540 days remarketing. And it's really going to provide a large volume of users to Google to kind of inform it what your customers look like. So almost always good to put in there, even if it's not quite what the audience name and the goal reflects, because it really is just going to help Google figure out who to target. And then the next one is going to be in market and life events and other things like that. So for in market, I already have some that I've used in other campaigns in the past. And I think really, advertising and marketing services would be good. SEO and SEM services would be good. I think the rest of this is a little too generic, and you don't need a ton of these. If you have two, three, four, that's fine. So I would go ahead and add these here. Um, and then that's kind of it. Generally, we don't use exclusions. You know, there can be some specific use cases to do that. I can't think of one right now, um, but that can be useful. And then in terms of demographics, we almost always run wide open. If you strongly believe that there are certain demographics that won't have any interest in your product, you can create exclusions. Um, but Google can figure it out pretty quickly, and you're already giving them signals with the other targeting as to what the genders and ages are that are your target audience. So it's really not a necessary thing unless you absolutely want to block a certain group. And that's it. Then you're going to save this and you're going to attach it to the relevant campaign or campaigns, and you are good to go. So it's pretty straightforward. You want to use all of these features here, the custom segments, your data, and interest in detailed demographics. And then typically you don't need to use exclusions unless you have a specific case of folks that you want to exclude. And demographic, same thing, you probably want to leave it wide open. So that's basically it. You can refer to the article for a lot more in-depth coverage of this. And that's it for today. I will see you next time.